This is the Old Jewish Cemetery in Lublin. It's around 500 years old. We don't exactly know how old it is, but it's been surrounded by this this wall, which you can see is quite high. Now, the way in is here. Unfortunately, it's locked. It's double locked, so we're not going to get in it like this. I don't really know where to get the key from. I'll find out, but I'll have to find out later. And we're here now, and so we'll have to work out how to get in without using the key. So if we walk down here a bit, we'll see if there's a way over the wall. One thing I can say is that when I was 17 years old, I wanted to go into the army, and what I did to prepare myself was I used to go running and trying to get myself physically fit. But one thing I did particularly was getting over walls. Now, I wasn't much good at most things. I can't shoot straight. I march out of step. But one thing I was good at was getting over walls. And 35 years ago, I'd have had no problems getting over that wall. But time marches on, and it's a bit like logarithms. When you leave school, you forget how to do it. And I won't be getting over there. So we'll have a walk down and see if there's a place I can climb over. The wall is, but if it's several hundred years old, I don't want it falling down on top of me. That would look good. British vandal turns up in Lublin and destroys ancient wall. From the very beginning of the Nazi occupation of Lublin, they behaved in a totally despicable and brutal way against the local population. So they occupied it in the beginning of September 1939. Within 3 months, they brought to this point here a number of people who were known in Lublin, people who worked in, for example, who were known in the judiciary and other community leaders, and they were murdered here. And this was, I think, the first of several murders that took place here. And we've got a list of the people here who were shot on the 23rd of December 1939. And so we can see people who worked in public administration. We have people who work the head of the court. We have a lawyer. We have a professor and other teachers. And a really brutal occupation. And you compare that, what happened to during the First World War, less than a quarter of a century before, where the Germans, when they got here, and were welcomed as liberators. So we have an older monument to those who were murdered on the 23rd of December 1939 here. This spot next to the Jewish cemetery, and I presume the bodies were just dumped inside the Jewish cemetery somewhere. Don't think I'm gonna get over the wall here. In fact, oh dear, look, it's sort of crumbly. So we'll keep walking down. Hopefully we'll find a spot which is a bit easier. Or not, as the case may be. I don't think we're gonna find anything easier than this. So I'm going to give it a go. In fact, it looks as though people have been here before me. I wish I hadn't forgotten how to climb over walls now. There's no need to film me, and I shouldn't be doing this at my age. So we're inside now, but what I recommend you do for future reference is you try and get the key rather than at our age trying to jump over walls, because the key is undoubtedly a lot easier. But the message is, for those that lock these things, it didn't stop us, so it mightn't stop others. Anyway, we'll go in now. This is a gravestone of a tzaddik, which is a holy man, I presume is a good translation. And you can see that people come here leaving messages and all the rest of it, but I'm just going to show you one because it sort of wound me up a bit. So we have here a document for the State of Israel, and I'm covering up the details, but if one Isaac Deutsch from the United States happens to see this, Isaac, I happen to have your personal details here, so for future reference, don't actually leave it at a place like this, and I'm sure the tzaddik didn't need it either. And we can see there's a stone with a hole through it, which I presume this is damage caused by the Nazis, though I believe that some damage here was also caused by the Soviets as well. There'll be far more information about this place in the description when I get round to writing it. You see the wonderful detail on this stone, but of all the stones, this one here is my favourite, and I'll show you why. Look at this. Squirrel. I think that's fantastic. This is a unicorn. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can get the detail. I often hear people in the United States complain at the way cemeteries, and in particular Jewish cemeteries, are maintained here in Europe, and in particular in Poland. And I'd like to point out the following. In the first place, next to no Jews here to look after the cemetery, so you'll find the same situation, for example, with German cemeteries in Poland, and of other groups of people who no longer are present here. And in the second place, I would like to remind Americans above all of the state of Native American burial places in their own country, and I would request that before complaining at the way things are here, that they actually examine that point. There we have a view of Lublin on this wonderful spring Sunday. Outstanding weather. We have these two stones, but one's actually a replacement for the old one, and there's three particularly well-known stones here. So we've got the tzaddik, which we saw a little earlier, we've got the one beside this, and we've got the new one here, and you see lots of people have left messages, and I can't actually read Hebrew. Thing is, I do know Hebrew letters, but that, for example, is like what reading Latin would be for most of you. You know what the letters are, but you don't know what it means. And so that's the same situation here for me. But I do see the name Shlomo there, which is those big letters there. And there'll be more about him in the text below the video. There are many cemeteries, Jewish cemeteries in Poland, which are on hills, but this one is really sort of exaggerated in how it's been built on a hill. It's the flattest part of the cemetery, but there's no stones down here at all by the looks of things. I can't see any of them. Can't even see any sort of protruding out of the ground. I suppose when people brought the other stones which are up there, they were brought back, that they chose put them on the top of the hill as a more of a symbolic gesture. Maybe that was the furthest part of the cemetery itself.